Rose-colored glasses, what color would it be?
About the same.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's give him a hand. Okay. Now, when you have on the green glasses, you see a green picture. Let's do a demonstration of this important principle. I need everybody to close your eyes for a second, and I'm going to divide, well, look up here for just a second. I'm going to divide us into two groups. Your group A over here, and your group B over here. All right? Now, everybody close your eyes, please. All right, group A, open your eyes and observe what you see. Observe what you see, please. Okay, now close your eyes. All right, now everybody with their eyes closed. Now, group B, would you please open your eyes and observe what you see? Okay. Now, I want to ask you, everybody look up here, eyes open. How many saw a rabbit? Group A saw a rabbit. How many saw a duck? Group B saw a duck. Very interesting. See, how you perceive that data depends on your frame of reference, doesn't it? Isn't that amazing? Nothing up my sleeves. Okay. So you see that how we interpret the data depends on our frame of reference. And for evolutionists, they see this trilobite here as a primitive animal, a primitive ancestor, because it's down at the bottom of all the geologic column, so it just must be primitive, correct? But we creationists see him as created after his own kind, a complex marvel of design. Same data. When evolutionists look at this amazing, by the way, I'm going to pass around my trilobite just so y'all can enjoy seeing that. When evolutionists look at the amazing similarity of the forelimbs of mammals, they think they see evidence of a common ancestor, the fundamental tenet of Darwin's theory. But we Christians look at the same data and we see evidence of a common designer. Descent from a common ancestor has not stood the test of time because the science of genetics and embryology have disproved the theory. But let's just notice for a moment, this is the manatee, and notice how similar the manatee bone structure is to man. Actually, a man looks more like a manatee than it does a monkey. But the manatee doesn't have a hand, it just has a big flipper with all those bones inside. So I guess you can conclude that man descended from manatees, not monkeys, correct? No. Because if species with similar forelimbs inherited them from a common ancestor, then they ought to be traceable to a common embryonic development and common genes. But research has shown that these homologous structures develop from different genes and from different embryological structures. So the idea of common ancestry totally fails, and we conclude that the similarity was originated by an intelligent designer who chose to reuse a few successful designs. What evolution theory incorrectly predicts is that there would be hundreds of thousands of body plans all randomly occurring. This is not the case. Darwinism is a bankrupt theory. The evidence cries out creation. Okay. Many scientists reject evolution theory on scientific grounds. This recent book, compiled from articles by 50 scientific scholars, all PhDs in science, gives a sampling of the thousands of competent technical people who have examined the scientific evidence and rejected evolution. They all cite the physical evidence for why they hold to a view of origins based on creation in 6 literal days. And Michael Denton, a medical scientist doing biological research in Sydney, Australia, summarizes the gathering evidence against evolution in his book, A Theory in Crisis. He says that the grand claim, the the grand claim of macroevolution remains as unsubstantiated as it was 120 years ago in Darwin's time. When evolutionists see the fossil record, they make an assumption that more complex animals derive from invertebrates, as shown in this evolution tree. Here's Darwin here, a primitive evolutionist between frogs and horses. And here is obviously an engineer more highly developed than other creatures found in trees. Okay? Although we know that mutations are extremely harmful and rare, they further assume that over millions of years, occasional good mutations could change a cow into a whale in gradual small steps. But the laws of information strictly prohibit living things from evolving by chance. You see, the cell is a protein factory, and the genes contain the detailed specifications for those proteins. These are the genes here. We see here the 3 billion symbols of the human genetic code. What an enormous amount of information is stored in the DNA molecule. More information than in the Library of Congress. And we see here that it's used by the cell like a template. And it assembles the proteins from amino acids that are floating around inside the cell, just like stringing beads, one at a time, each in a precise sequence, averaging about 400 amino acids for each protein. Now, this assembly process requires, guess what? 75 proteins functioning in the ribosome, which is right here. So which evolved first, the proteins or the proteins that make proteins? The answer is they had to have been created. You see, proteins cannot be assembled themselves in the prebiotic soup. Only the molecular machine in living cells can assemble proteins. Scientists know that information can only come from an intelligent source. Information is subject to natural laws, just like matter and energy. And those laws tell us that random chance material processes can never be the source of new information.